Hi, friends. Welcome. Today, I'm sharing with you three tools for anxiety and chronic pain. And I'm Jenna. If you haven't heard a little bit about my story, I'm going to share something that not many people actually know about me. So, for years, I struggled with debilitating anxiety, which then eventually developed into OCD. So I often felt stuck and disconnected from my body. I was living in this body that just felt like it really just couldn't settle. And in many ways, this became my release valve. The OCD was the release valve for stress and anxiety that I was carrying. And I used it as a way to control my environment when I felt very out of control inside of myself and in my own body. I remember staying up until 2 a.m. I was cleaning every night, just trying to find a sense of relief and in some way cope with what was going on. I was at that time struggling with mold poisoning. I was in chronic pain. So I was just looking for any way that I could express this energy that was really trapped and stuck in my body. And it wasn't until I discovered these tools, these practices of nervous system regulation, that I was able to find that lasting relief by releasing this energy that was trapped inside of my body. So I'm so grateful for being able to discover this work and to share it with you today. And I was able to completely heal from that anxiety and from the OCD using a combination of these tools I'm going to share with you today, in addition to some brain retraining and visualization practices that I also now teach in my group program, Thrive Beyond Pain. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stuck or anxious, or you're experiencing chronic pain in your body that's just not going away, I invite you to join me for this gentle and supportive practice that we're going to do together today. It's going to take about 10 minutes once we dive into the practice. And I think it's going to help you really feel more calm and more present and grounded in your body, in the experience of being in this body, which can truly be a beautiful, wonderful experience when we're able to find that state of calm, that state of peace. So these practices are now core to what I teach in my programs and also in my own daily routine. So I recently was working with one of my clients, Kathy. She was experiencing debilitating anxiety. She'd have these panic attacks where she would wake up in the middle of the night and she would be stuck in a ball lying on her floor, just so anxious. So I shared these practices with her, and after just a few minutes of us working together, she was able to find that sense of calm. Her breath deepened. She felt softer in her body and just more connected and more grounded again. So I'm excited to share this with you today. And if you are tuning in here, just pop in the comments where you are joining us from today. I see Brian and Mandolin on the live stream. So thanks so much for being here. And let me know if you can relate to this topic, if you've also struggled with anxiety, and if you have found anything that helped to provide you with relief. So, what you're going to want to do is find a place to sit that feels like, your sanctuary. So maybe it's in your room, maybe it's outside in nature in the sun, if you're able to do that right now. Just find a place that feels like it provides a sense of safety to you, where you can just really focus on these practices without a lot of distractions around you. But if you're tuning in today and maybe you're driving and you're just listening, you can save the replay. We have them here in the group. They're always pinned at the top of the page. You can find them there. You can also find the replays in the guides section. You can also find them in the events section. So they're all over the page. And you can watch this again and do this when you have time if you're not able to follow along today. Otherwise, go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seated position. If sitting down for you is not comfortable, you can stand, you can lie on your back, but you do want to be able to open your eyes because we're going to start with a practice that's called orienting to your environment. It's called orienting. And this practice signals a sense of safety to our nervous system. And one of the reasons why is because in that primal brain of ours, in that limbic system, when our nervous system detects threat, which is its number one job to detect threat in our environment and tell us if we're safe or if we're not safe. So, if our nervous system is detecting that we're not safe, then what's going to happen is our vision is going to narrow because nature designed it this way. If there's a predator that's coming at you and that's about to attack you, then you don't want to be noticing your surroundings. You don't want to be distracted. You don't want to be looking around. You're obviously going to be looking at what's coming at you. And then you're going to be immediately deciding, should I run or should I stay and fight? So that's the fight or flight response. If we are in a place of safety and we do not have a predator that's going to attack us, then our nervous system feels relaxed, it feels calm. And so, what an animal would do, for example, in nature, is it would look around at its environment. If it was a deer, it would maybe be grazing on grass and it would be in that relaxed, calm state. So, when we orient to our environment, it signals to our nervous system and to our body, I am now safe. There are no predators. There's no threat. Nothing is going to come eat me. And now we can relax and come back into that parasympathetic, down regulated state. Some people call that rest and digest, where our body can actually truly heal. So, one way that we're going to teach our body that we're safe is we're going to look at our surroundings and notice what's around us. So go ahead and open your eyes. You're just going to start looking at one side of your room, or if you're outside, you can look at the plants or the trees or the street, wherever you are. And you're just going to start to slowly scan and follow your eye line on the horizon, slowly just noticing what you see in your environment to the other side of the room. And as you're doing that, you are looking for something in your environment that maybe feels pleasurable, it feels maybe nostalgic. It might be a painting on your wall, and you remember a time where you were, having this great experience with your family or your friends. Maybe it's something that, you um, discovered it's a crystal that you found when you were hiking one day and you have that there on your dresser. So whatever it is, you can notice something that feels pleasurable. Um, and it feels like it brings this sense of calm because you realize like, oh yeah, you know, that was, something that I discovered when I was traveling. It was a keepsake of mine. And it kind of reminds your system that there is no threat and you're safe, you're in your body. So we're just going to do that for a moment, just scanning the environment, seeing if there's anything that you notice. You can focus on that object or that item if it's something that kind of gives you this sense of joy looking at it, sense of calm and relief. And if you don't necessarily see anything like that, that's fine too. Maybe you're looking outside your window, you see the leaves blowing in the wind, you see the sun that's glistening on the dewdrop on a plant. So, whatever it is for you, just going to take one more moment to just notice your surroundings. And then when you're ready, you can just come back to your body. And we're going to just kind of take a moment to notice our body now. Feel your sitting bones connected to the surface beneath you if you're sitting. If you're standing, you can notice your feet. Notice how your feet are feeling. And so if you're here with me on this live stream today or you're watching the replay, then comment below how that practice felt for you, that first practice that we did, orienting. I like to do that before the other practices because, again, it's really working with our limbic system, our reptilian brain, and telling that primal part of our brain that we're safe before we do these other practices. And it's something that you can really do anywhere because this next practice we're going to do is sounding. And it may be hard to do this if you're out in public, if you're driving, but the orienting practice you can, really do anywhere, anytime. So it's a really supportive, helpful tool that you can have in your tool bag that you can use anytime you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed, maybe your thoughts are reeling. Take a moment, settle into your body, notice your environment, notice your surroundings. It's going to help to signal to your system that there is safety. Okay. So the next one, it's called the VU sound. So we're going to do some vocalization together. And this is a practice that came from Peter Levine, who developed somatic experiencing. He's very old school. He's been doing somatic therapy, somatic healing work for, I think, over 30 years. He's really OG. He's one of the first people that really started talking about how to regulate your nervous system, right? And actual practices to do that, and then started doing research on how effective these practices actually were. So for me personally, this one is the one that works the best. It's the most effective for me if I'm really feeling like I'm stressed, anxious. I go to this sound and it immediately starts to regulate my nervous system and help me feel more calm. And this is an ancient practice. So monks and Buddhists have been doing this for thousands of years. Hindu chants, they all have this sound, and we're basically doing sound healing to our own body, our own nervous system. But there's another thing that actually does on a physiological level, which is to relax the tone of the vagus nerve. So, a lot of people these days in the nervous system regulation world are talking about how to stimulate your vagus nerve. But the problem is that that vagus nerve already has a very high tone. We want to try to see if we can help to relax the tone of that vagus nerve because it has fascial connections and branches to every organ of your body. So that's why the vagus nerve is very important. It has to do with your central nervous system and regulating that fight or flight response. So we can calm that vagus nerve with this sound. And what I want you to start with is again, just feeling your body connected to the surface beneath you. So if you're sitting, feeling your sits bones connected to either the cushion or the ground that you're sitting on. And then once you feel that, you're going to open your eyes. And I want you to notice your hips, your pelvic floor, and notice if you're sensing any tensing there in your hips or in your pelvic floor. And with this sound, we're going to create this relaxation response all the way through the body into the pelvis, into our pelvic floor to create that sense of softness throughout the body. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate this. I don't know how this is going to sound with these ear pods in. It might sound not very good, so I apologize for that if that's the case, but I think you'll at least get the idea. So we start with a breath in, and then I'm going to begin that VU sound. So it's like this. VU. So it's like a deep foghorn sound. I'm letting it kind of resonate all the way down into my pelvis, relaxing my glutes, relaxing my hips, because with stress and anxiety, we tend to really clench and tense there. And then another part of this is we just allow the breath to naturally come back after we complete that sound. So we're going to do this again. You can join me on this next one if you're able to. Take a deep breath in, keep your eyes open. relaxing the bowl of the pelvis. So you can visualize that vagus nerve. It starts from the brain all the way down the spine, spinal cord, all the way down, and it connects to your pelvic floor. So you can visualize that whole connection there. We'll do it one more time, visualizing that. And let the breath come naturally right back in. That's a beautiful moment when the breath just spontaneously returns to your body. And now just notice how you feel. You can orient to your environment again. You might notice now that your environment actually looks a little different. Maybe you notice some things that you didn't notice before. Because when we're in that fight or flight state, we don't always notice our surroundings, right? We don't always see what's around us. So, one thing you may find when you start to regulate your nervous system and come down off that hyper vigilant state that we tend to be in with that fight or flight is we then begin to just notice different things in our environment. I know that definitely happened for me. I would be like, was that thing always there? Or I never noticed that before. And that's because we have that really super pinpointed focus, focused on the threat in front of us as opposed to relaxing into our environment. So I hope that that helped you feel more present, more grounded in your body. I know I do after that sound. I had a lot of things that I had on my to-do list today, and I feel definitely more relaxed, more calm, more centered. So comment below how that practice felt for you. So that might feel like that's good enough for you today. Like you want to just stop there. You can take a moment, tune into your body, your intuition. What does your body say? And if you want to complete there, that's totally fine. You can listen to this next part, or you can go ahead and do this one with me. So, this is one that I also find to be one of my go-to practices that I do pretty much on a daily basis. And this one is really helpful to find your own individual way to regulate your nervous system, to move energy through your body. And this one is really just to identify what you're feeling. So we're first going to start with that. We're going to use some feeling words to identify what we're experiencing. Okay, so we're just going to take a moment to scan the body. And, we've already done a couple practices. So you may already be feeling really calm and relaxed. Terry's saying they feel calm. That's wonderful. But maybe you're noticing that there is still a little tension, say, like in your back or your hip. Maybe your neck is feeling tight. Whatever it is for you, you're going to bring your awareness to something that you're noticing in your body. Maybe there's still some lingering anxiety that hasn't moved yet. This is a really good one also for anger, for frustration, for those emotions. They are not bad emotions. They're very primal emotions. They just want a way to be expressed. So this is really helpful for that. So you're going to ask now that energy. So say you are noticing that you're angry about something that someone said to you earlier this morning. And your mind, your thoughts are kind of reeling about it. You're wondering what you're going to say back to them. You're already planning your rebuttal. And so you're going to ask that anger or ask whatever it is. Maybe it's low back pain, whatever it is for you. You're going to ask it, how does this energy want to move? And then you're going to wait for the response. And it might feel like it comes up immediately. You get a word, you get a sensation, and you might not hear anything. So that's fine too. This will get easier with practice. It's not something that is always easy right away to identify what we're feeling and how to move it through our body. But over time, as you practice this more, it's just going to get easier and easier as you develop that relationship with your body, that connection with your intuition. But also try not to judge it. So if you ask your body, how does this energy want to move? How does this anger want to be expressed? And you immediately get the answer, run. And that is your intuition. That's your system telling you what it needs to discharge this energy, right? Because our bodies know how to heal, our nervous system knows how to regulate. It was literally designed that way. And so it's a perfect design. All we have to do is tune into it and be able to quiet ourselves enough to listen to it. So when you get that answer, you want to also follow the guidance of your body. So you don't want to ignore it. If your body's saying, the way I want to move this energy is I want to run, then let that happen. It doesn't mean you have to go outside and go for a jog immediately. But one thing you can do, and I've done this many times, and I probably have looked really silly doing it. I'm gonna see if I can make this so you can see me a little better. So if that's what your body is signaling to you, you could just do a running in place. You can feel your feet on the earth. You can push down into your feet, push the ground away. That can be really helpful for that fight response because we want to push, we want to fight, we want to do something to save ourselves, right? That is that primal impulse. So pushing your feet into the earth, that could be really supportive, really helpful for your body to move this energy through. So, again, this is going to be very personalized, very individual, and it has to do with what your body needs to release and mobilize this energy because energy just wants to move and emotions are just energy in motion. When we can discharge this from our body, then we can truly heal. We can come back to that parasympathetic, down regulated state where our body can then finally relax. And for some people, their body never gets that sense where it can heal and relax because it's in that hypervigilant state 24/7 all the time. So that's why this work is so helpful. And as you can probably tell, it doesn't take forever, right? We've been doing this together for about 10 minutes, doing these practices. And hopefully, you're noticing that you're already starting to feel a lot better. You're already starting to feel a lot more calm. Okay. So, let me give you another example. So, if this is really new to you, it might be helpful to have another example of how you would move this energy through your body. So, say I'm feeling really anxious, I'm feeling stressed. So, I ask my body, how does this energy want to move? How does this anxiety want to move? And I get the answer. It tells me, okay, I want to shake. I want to shake it out, right? That's what my intuition tells me. So I'm just going to shake. I'm going to do it right away. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait for the perfect moment. And, if you have to do this when you're standing in line at the grocery store, so be it. Other people might feel inspired and start shaking with you too. Let it go all the way down into your feet. So that could be one example of how your body tells you and communicates with you that it wants to move the energy. So it can be helpful to kind of have some of these tools in your toolbox, like shaking, running in place, pressing into your feet. That's another one. Another one that I really like to do is circles, hip circles. So really grounding the energy down from the head, where we tend to be in our thoughts all day, down into our hips, into our root chakra, into our feet, just kind of bringing that energy down. When you circle your hips, you'll kind of notice your thoughts start to change. So if you're having anxious, racing thoughts, you start to do some hip circles, you might begin to notice, oh, I'm actually feeling a little better. I'm actually not thinking about that thing as much as I was. And so that's a really powerful tool as well. But these are just examples. Like I said, you want to kind of discover what your practices are, what works for you, and give yourself the opportunity to listen to your body and to release this energy, because I guarantee you that you're going to start to feel a lot better once you try these practices out. So go ahead and give those a shot and comment below how they felt for you. Which one did you resonate with the most? Which one did you connect with the most? And which one of these three practices do you think that you might try again um, when you need it? So, to review them, the first one we did was called orienting to your environment, scanning, looking for something that signals safety to your body, something pleasurable in your environment, or that kind of sparks joy. And then the second one that we did was the VU sound. So it was basically toning, but it's a very specific sound, that VU sound. I'm not exactly sure how Peter Levine came up with that particular sound, because there's there's a lot of different tones, a lot of different sounds, but that one is very guttural, right? It's very low. And I think it really brings the energy down into our body, down into the base of our pelvis, and really helps to relax the tone of the vagus nerve. So that was number two. And number three was asking your body, how does this energy want to move? And when you get the answer right away, you go do it, you don't wait, because that also helps to provide a sense of safety when we listen to our body and then we actually do what it tells us to do. So, one example of this, one I recently discovered, was working during the day and realizing you actually have to go to the bathroom, you have to go pee, whatever it is. So trying not to hold it in, not to force yourself to keep working, force yourself to keep doing that task, but to let yourself just get up and go. Of course, there's going to be instances where you can't do that, but most of the time you should be able to do that. And when we do that, then signals to our body, oh, okay, she's actually listening to me. I can give her these cues, these signals, and she's actually going to listen to me and do what I tell her to do. And that helps your body feel more safe. And it also is going to help to expand and develop your sense of intuition, your sense of connection with your own body. So, this is all somatic work. You know, somatic has become a very trendy word these days. People are using it to describe pretty much everything. But in the simplest of terms, it's basically just learning how to reconnect with your body. And this is the most natural thing that we could be doing. Our bodies were designed for this connection. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for joining me. Let me know how these practices felt for you. Go ahead and practice them this week, and come back and let me know, what did you discover? What did you learn about your body? Did you feel more calm, more relaxed? And I also help clients one on one to really discover what tools are best for them and kind of help to guide them through this process. I also do this in my group program. So if this is something that feels like you'd like more support around, like you'd really like to work with somebody that can help you in a more personalized one-on-one way, where we can discover the tools that work best for you, that are really based on your individual goals and needs, then you can go ahead and just comment support below. I will go ahead and reach out to you, and we can just jump on a quick 15-minute discovery call where we can explore what your goals are, what you're interested in learning about, where you want to get to in your health and wellness journey. And we can map out a plan for you to be able to get from A to B to where you want to go. So I will see you in the next live stream. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a great